Ready?
I'm set.
All right.
Let's do it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bourbon Obsessed Bourbon and Distillery News Podcast, your commercial-free and therefore money-free bourbon podcast for Monday, December 15th. I am Ed, and I am joined by my usual co-host, friend, and bourbon aficionado, Dean Langdon. Dean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well today, Ed. Thank you for asking. I trust you are too.
Pretty well.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had a busy bourbon week. I've had a more paced week. I had a tasting one night this week with some hazmat pours, which was interesting. We stopped at 4 to be responsible, but those were a lot of fun. A lot of Canadian whiskey, like 20-plus-year-old Canadian whiskey tends to develop into hazmat. So
really, that's what you had?
2 of them were. One of them was the Barrel Decade, which was that was wonderful.
I haven't tried mine yet, but I've only had mine a week. You've had yours.
I've had mine
a couple of years.
In a couple months. Anyway, so it's good. I was thinking about bringing it, but maybe next time we'll try that. And then there was something called Obtainium, which is a 29-year-old Canadian whiskey. That was a single barrel pick.
Yeah, I have one of those Obtainians.
Yeah.
It's also like 150
and
proof.
Yeah, this was like 160 proof. It was crazy. So it didn't taste like 160 proof, but you have to be careful with those.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The other one was actually a 6-year-old bourbon that got up to 140 proof, which just blew me away. It was pretty good. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we reviewed the Larrikin Light whiskey last week, which was 100 almost 146.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes to tell us what you've done, but after that, we're going to go on.
Well, we actually have a lot of news, so we, surprisingly, considering that we're a week and a half before Christmas, there's an awful lot of news going on. But yeah, I did a lot this week. So we started off with the bottle share for KBI on Tuesday, then Holiday on the Hill at Heaven Hill. That's their yearly Christmas event. That was on Thursday.
Okay.
Then the Bourbon Capital Guild Holiday Bash was on Friday.
Okay.
Then Saturday we stopped by Lux Rose Deck the Row, which is their holiday party.
Great. Yeah.
And then we went to Bardstown Bourbon Company, the Reserves, their bottle club for the last pickup party. Those are the big things, and there were
that's a full plate.
Lots of smaller things,
yeah,
and we also bopped down to Wilderness Trail to pick up their 10-year.
Good. I wonder if we were going to get that. Yeah, that was Friday. It came out. So
that must have been when we went down there.
Yeah.
And so busy week.
Yeah. Somebody's got to do all this, Ed. I'm so glad that you are. So
busy next week coming up too. These holidays need to end. Need to get to January. I don't do dry January, and one of the stories that we'll be talking about is that nobody's interested in dry January anymore.
Yeah.
But certainly use less event-filled
a couple
January.
Days of sobriety.
Yeah,
right? I get it. Yeah.
Too many events, but all right. And we have a holiday party today
We've
for
got
the
one this
Lexington
afternoon.
Bourbon Society. Shortly after we finish this,
I'm looking forward to that one. So I hope you pace yourself. Okay? I'll drink one for you.
Yeah. Well, as we're starting now with 121 proof.
Perfect start.
Rye, which we'll talk about more in our review episode.
Rye is more of a holiday spirit, I think, just because of the spiciness and all that. We're not going to.
Well, and the green on the label.
There you go. Right.
Yeah. There you have it. All right, let's dive right in because we do have a lot here. So, the Ingram Distillery will open its grounds in Columbus, Kentucky, to the public in April 2026, offering visitors access to the only floating barrel houses in the country. Guests can explore the river aging process through guided tours, including the Barge to Bottle tour and the private chartered experience, which provides exclusive access to the distillery and a curated whiskey tasting for groups of up to 10 people for $250 per group. The launch of these hospitality experiences continues an especially active year for the Ingram Distillery. We've actually talked about them a bunch of times this year.
Yes.
Which has released new whiskeys, expanded distribution, and now invites visitors to experience river aging firsthand along the Mississippi River.
That's really neat. And I learned some more about what they've done out there. So they took a 1930s hotel and have basically renovated that. I think that's going to serve as their sort of their visitor center. It was called the Banks Lodge. And so, it's like, okay, what have they done out there? But that automatically entails a lot of work. They got a company to come in and redo how they rack their barrels on the barges. So the first barge has 1,700 barrels. The second one with the system they've got has 4,000 barrels. So that more than doubled the capacity for that barge. And I think it probably made it feasible for someone to actually get on that barge and look at it. I bet they won't let them go on the first one because it's probably just haphazardly screwed in there. I'm sure it's not, but I thought that was really cool that they're some of the technical developments in the bourbon world. I find fascinating.
So is it they're ricks or they're palletized?
They're ricks. No, they're ricks. They're on their side, and you can clearly swap them in and out. I want to say they're like 5 high on the barge, which is pretty high.
Yeah. I've been wanting to go down there for a long time, and now they're actually having a program and a place to host people.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get down there.
They can apparently load 70 barrels an hour now into that floating rick house, which is fast, and they don't make that much. Can't imagine doing that very often, but more efficient, right?
Yeah. Well, I think didn't we have a story earlier where they're actually putting a distillery in, because up to now they've been sourcing or contract distilling and then aging them there and then blending, but not distilling. But I thought we talked about them getting a
because this clearly contemplates, I think that behind the scenes tour, the chartered experience includes the distillery tour. So they must have one. I learned something else about them that just fascinated me, is they have recovered parts of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald from the Great Lakes.
Is that story true?
I don't know.
I thought it wasn't.
I found it. It seemed legit. They're supposed to be building a...
in one place. It was in one place.
It was in one place. Yeah.
Wasn't it on Bourbon and Banter or something? And
I think that's right.
They have put out stories like that in the past that
aren't true. So
I don't know about this. I think it'd be terrible mojo to build a floating visitor attraction using the remains of a horrible shipwreck. I find it hard to believe that that's true.
Yeah. But it's slated for 2027, so our listeners will just have to wait and see.
We'll see.
It could just be blowing smoke. So. But we don't. This at least is true. That's right. This one we know. So, and Columbus is a lot closer than the Great Lakes. So,
yes. Is it? Yes.
It is.
Now we have a couple stories about Lofted Spirits. They tend to be in every newscast, although I don't think they were in last week, but now we have 2 stories about them. So Lofted Spirits breaks ground on a 4,000 square foot bottling facility expansion that will bring total capacity above 35 million bottles annually, which seems insanely high.
It does.
The new high-speed, small format line nearly doubles the current operation and will support a broad customer base across multiple distilled spirits categories. While the facility currently processes more than 10 million bottles per year, which also seems extremely high, the addition of a high-capacity, high-speed, small format line will bring total capacity above 35 million bottles annually. With the expansion, Lofted Spirits capabilities include all sizes from 50 ml to 1.75 liters, with limitless customization for packages, closures, and finishes. Lofted Spirits bottling operation currently employs 80 team members and expects to add an additional 5 to 6 as the facility scales. Construction is currently underway by Busick Construction, and the expanded operation is expected to be fully operational in early second quarter 2026.
I think that's a very smart expansion. Bardstown Bourbon Company is a very well-respected producer. So many people use them to produce their product, and then, of course, to age it, to bottle it. And so this will help expand that even to brands that don't have their bourbon produced there. You tank it in, you bottle it, and you ship it back out. I think that's great. I don't know how many places actually have that capacity. So
and I don't know if you've seen their bottling line now, but the one that they have there in that whole separate building, time always gets away from me, but it can't have been there for more than 5 years. I remember when it was brand new, and we went to it, and that that's totally state of the art and everything too.
Yeah, I saw that the last time I took a tour there. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's and highly automated, as you would expect.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I found interesting about this, that they're doubling their capacity and they have 80 team members there, but they're only adding 5 to 6.
Yeah.
So I think
it
sounds like it's going to run itself.
It's people that plug in the right coordinates and numbers on the software, right, to make it do the right thing. I mean,
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And I thought the bottling minis was interesting because other than Beam's facility in Frankfurt that does all the minis for the whole everything they own, I think. I wonder. I don't know if anybody else does minis in Kentucky.
I don't know either, and certainly if they do, it's going to be a Beam or a Heaven Hill, or I don't think Turkey. Well, Turkey does that. So again, here's a.
Well, everybody has them, I guess, but I never really thought about where they bottle. Right. I mean, because you need a whole separate line. Exactly. Yeah, because it's not just swapping out, like for some of these different bottle sizes, you can just swap out parts, but for the minis, you actually need the mini line.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. That if you've
I've never seen a mini. No, I haven't. But it's because all the minis are going to be screw tops. Most of the others are corked of some sort. So because
but they're just small. I mean, they can't be bouncing around some big bottling line. But anyway, so that's interesting, and I suspect we're going to see some more minis out.
Great job
soon.
For Christmas elf. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, so maybe we're going to have people need to start putting out airplane-sized bottles again, right?
Well, that's what these are.
Yeah,
50 ml.
So you start collecting those again. I can just see a whole new niche here.
I can see a whole bunch more whiskey finding its way into places where you're not supposed to be bringing it. But
we wouldn't know anything about that.
Fireball, watch out.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, now this next story is another related to Lofted. So Misunderstood Brands, the spirits company behind Misunderstood Whiskey and Outrageous, has announced a strategic production partnership with Lofted Spirits, marking a significant step in the company's nationwide expansion and acceleration of new product development. Coming off its Walmart Golden Ticket win for outrageous oat milk liqueur and strong double-digit growth, the portfolio, which includes Misunderstood Ginger Spiced Whiskey, Orange Blossom Bourbon, and dairy-free oat nog, will now scale with the support of Lofted Spirits. Under the new partnership, the Bardstown Bourbon Company Distillery will become the primary production hub for Misunderstood brands across multiple product lines, and Outrageous will become the first cream-based liqueur produced at the Bardstown Bourbon Company Distillery. The integration with Lofted Spirits lays the foundation for deeper collaboration, expanded production capabilities, and accelerated development of new innovations set to roll out over the next year.
This is a really interesting partnership.
Yeah.
Because they're potentially moving beyond just spirits.
Yeah.
And so if they were going to do an actual oat milk, that gets into food safety as opposed to spirits. There's different, I'm sure, I don't know personally, but I'm sure there are different regs, different handling capacities.
But they were set up for that because their bottling facility that they built meets all the food requirements, which most of them don't because they don't have to, as you said, distilleries are held to a completely different standard.
Yeah.
But they have the whole clean room and stuff. So theirs is up to food production grade, which is probably why they can. Yeah, probably one of the only ones that could do this.
Even the oat milk liqueur that's not really food, but it's a different product process. So again, that speaks to in my mind, it speaks to the future stability of Bardstown Bourbon Company. They are reaching out into different areas of the market that's going to cement their importance, and they're just that's great. That's how you need to do it in this market, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this brand makes some interesting things. I had to look up that Walmart Golden Ticket. I guess
I did too. I didn't know what that was because I'm a Walmart guy. But
it's like striking the jackpot because it's Walmart's way for allowing small new brands to actually wind up in Walmart. So
exactly,
what a boon for
And apparently, it's not guaranteed. I mean, you get that, and then you go through a process, and if you succeed at that process, which I assume they did, but man, talk about ramping up production. Right?
Yeah.
And you got a consumer like Walmart. That speaks well for Misunderstood and for Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Yeah. So this will be interesting. And I guess, I mean, their spirits all sound interesting. I mean, not the kind of things that we normally drink, but I'd certainly try them.
I mean, I'd love to see a cocktail with a ginger whiskey or
I'm sure we're going to see them because
we will.
Think
about the ready to drink, options here. I mean, that would be you could do a lot of stuff with that. So
yeah. No, it's interesting.
It goes back to Lofted's expansion. I wonder if they're going to be able to do RTDs on the new line, because there's another market that's growing by leaps and bounds. So maybe they already can do RTDs, but
are RTDs in bottles or cans?
Cans, usually ready to drink.
But they don't have a canning line, as far as I know.
So there's an idea for you, Lofted. Hey, no charge.
Let's start building the next building.
Yes, there you go.
All right. Moving on to a little basketball news. So Maker's Mark enters its first ever sports league sponsorship as the first official spirits partner of Unrivaled, the athlete-founded and player-owned women's basketball league. As part of the multi-year partnership, Maker's Mark will bring the spirit of sport to life at games in Miami and Philadelphia, offering brand experiences, specialty cocktails, and VIP activations. The partnership aligns with both brands' missions of challenging convention and making the unreasonable a reality. The announcement comes ahead of Unrivaled's 2026 season, featuring expanded arenas, new clubs, and broader national broadcast coverage.
This is Maker's Mark's first sports sponsorship.
Yeah, which seems hard to believe.
Yeah, I find that strange too, but I can't think of any other.
Well, they have their day
events
at Keeneland, but I guess that doesn't.
Sure, horse
sort
racing.
Of a sports.
There's got to be a Maker's Mark turf race or stakes race of some sort, but maybe not. Maybe Woodford has taken that over, but
I don't know.
In any event, I think this is great. This is a women's basketball league. It's player owned. They've only got 8 clubs, 8 teams, but they do a 3-on-3 game. So to me, that would be a lot more fun to watch. It's a smaller court apparently, and so I think it's a great idea. Maker's Mark is getting in there early, setting up some primo fan areas for folks to enjoy their whiskey.
I didn't know anything about this league. It's a very short season. It was like January to the beginning of March, but it looked like there were often 2 games per night. I thought it was. So.
I didn't delve that far into it, but I think it's a great idea. I mean, finding another area where there's nobody in it, finding a space where there's nobody in it to start a business. And
well, we know women's basketball has become much more popular these last few years. So, I mean, it's always a little unusual when you start an outright new league, though, because you always wonder how they're going to do. But
you and I remember the American Basketball League probably with a bunch of teams, the Indiana team, the Kentucky Colonels, and
the collection of football leagues that had started, the USFL, doesn't there a World Football League too?
I think there is, yeah. I can't keep up with it.
But that's the thing. I mean, a lot of them that's what happens. So
right.
It'll be, but this is different enough with the 3-on-3 and stuff. I mean, it's going to be a different kind of game. So I think that would bode well for it because it's not just starting the same thing that somebody else did. So yeah, cool. I wonder if they're going to start playing more 3-on-3 in college then and stuff, though, because that's not how most people train.
No, it's not. But, I mean, there's a couple, I think there's a men's 3-on-3 tournament of sorts. I don't know that it's a league, and I could be totally wrong about that. But I don't think this is the first time there's ever been a 3-on-3 sort of series anyway. But a lot faster, a lot more fun. You probably don't have to pay somebody as much as you do for a 100-game,
Well, there's way fewer games.
Yeah, exactly.
So. But, I assume they must have other jobs because that's only barely more than 2 months of the year.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. And go watch some basketball and...
Drink Makers. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. All right. Next, Benson Valley Bourbon has been welcomed as the newest member of the Kentucky Distillers Association, the KDA. Located on historic grounds along Benson Creek in Frankfort, Kentucky, the distillery uses the same limestone spring once used by the former old Kennebec Distillery. Since reigniting operations, that was their words, which I thought was a little unusual terminology for a distillery.
To restart, yes.
Well, you don't want to ignite a distillery, but...
No.
this year. The distillery has produced more than 400 barrels with storage capacity planned for more than 14,000. Owner Russ Blakely notes that each day is an opportunity to build upon the rich legacy of their historic grounds, while KDA President Eric Gregory celebrates their role in strengthening Kentucky's bourbon community.
A new craft distiller, heading off into the headwinds of the current market. Kudos for your bravery. Obviously, it has been planned for a while. It didn't just spring up overnight. But they've got a master's distiller's lodge on site where you can spend the night apparently and experience the distillery.
They're historic grounds.
Yeah. And you can buy barrels from their website. Apparently, you can buy barrels, and they've got. Yesterday, the price was $1,200 a barrel. That included 4 years of storage and insurance. So if you really want to dig in, and I didn't dig down further to see if you had to be an accredited investor or anything like that. I would assume you do, but I don't know.
Huh. So they're actually distilling?
They must be. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Because I was just wondering. I was going to ask you what kind of still do they have, but I didn't find any information about that on their website. So.
All I know, but they were the presenting sponsor at the Bourbon on the Banks, though. Wasn't that them?
You're right, they were.
So we tried their whiskeys there, but I mean they were brand new, so those were blended by them or whatever, but they absolutely weren't distilled. But yeah, they're really hitting the ground running though, because I mean to be a brand new distillery and then be the presenting sponsor of Bourbon on the Banks. Yeah. Who does that? I mean, that's a lot of money. I have no idea what it costs, but I assume it's
somebody planned for the capital expenditures to get off the ground, and great way to get known. You're going to get a crew of very, very diehard bourbon aficionados and get exposed to your product right away. And
I remember I tried their whiskeys and chatted with them briefly, but their booth was very busy because it was like right in the center of everything, as the presenting sponsors are.
That's what they paid for.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
I was supposed to be at my own booth, which I did do.
You did. I saw your own booth here.
Yeah.
So,
But, all right. So moving on. So WhistlePig whiskey transforms the original 1911 Louisville Security Bank into the WhistlePig Vault, an immersive destination featuring historic bank architecture, hands-on customization of collectible bottles, and a rare whiskey tasting inside the original bank vault. Located between Whiskey Row and Nulu, the new brand home in Louisville, the new brand home showcases WhistlePig's full portfolio with marquee cocktail service, hosted tastings in the mezzanine blending room, a pneumatic tube-delivered Flying Pig cocktail, and a restored vault displaying WhistlePig's rarest bottles, including the Boss Hog collection. The vault is located at 403 East Main Street between Whiskey Row and Nulu, and it's now open. For those who, like me, were wondering about a Kentucky outpost for the Vermont brand, these quotes clear things up a bit. WhistlePig was founded 880 miles from the bourbon heartland, but the early seeds were planted here in Kentucky. The vault pays homage to our founding distiller, Dave Pickerel, who got his start in the bluegrass state before going off the grid to start the rye revolution in Vermont, and that's according to WhistlePig CEO Charles Gibb. Returning to Kentucky with the vault is a full circle moment for us. So, yes, I definitely had that question of because they released a Kentucky bourbon earlier this year.
Yes, they did. So.
What's it called? Tails and Heads or
something like that. Yeah.
We talked about it once, but that was a while ago.
I'm sitting here thinking about all the things that can go wrong with the pneumatic tube cocktail delivery.
Yeah, well, I'm dying to see that.
I am too.
Well, I had friends that went there on Saturday, and I asked if they got that. They said no. I would have been.
I would have been. It's like, I may not even want the cocktail. I got to see this, right?
Yeah.
It's like the so. It sounds like a really neat place. I'm looking forward to visiting it one of these days. I like WhistlePig products. You can apparently fill your own bottle of rye with 12-year-old Old World Rye, which is one of their products. And so I assume you can, I don't know if you can blend it or just, bottle it from a single barrel, but that's a nice touch also.
Well, I think you can blend it because that's the one that is the blended one anyway. And I think a number of years ago, they had put out a barrel pick program where if you pick that, you could make it your own custom blend.
Cool. Yeah.
So I assume you can do that.
Yeah, that would make sense. And so, it's in an old bank. They got an old bank vault with rare pours in the back. So I think it's a great concept. I hope it works for them. It's strange. It's in between Nulu and Whiskey Row, but it's also right next to like the Residence Inn there. So I think it's depending on your constitution, it's potentially walkable in good weather. And if not, there are Ubers and there's probably even still taxis in Louisville to get you from one place to the other. So
yeah, well, I mean, these tasting rooms are starting to pop up sort of all over that area because there's just obviously so many you could fit in the whiskey row.
Right.
So you got to go where you can get the suitable space. All right. Next story is about my friends at Old Steelhouse Distillery, which is housed on the grounds of the historic T.W. Samuels Distillery. Speaking of Maker's Mark, have filled their first barrels. This historic event marks the first time in over 50 years that barrels were filled with new distillate on the site. Old Steelhouse has a small still on site where they can distill from 2 to 11 gallons per batch, depending on whether they do it on or off the grain or use low wines that they get distilled elsewhere and bring in.
Okay.
And therefore, it takes them quite a while to get enough distillate, no matter how they do it, to fill 2 barrels.
That's a lot of runs to fill a barrel.
Yeah, so this was a pretty momentous occasion.
Yeah.
Their first 2 barrels, which are Char 2 medium toast, constructed with 18-month seasoned staves, were made at the Independent Stave Company. They were filled with a 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley distillate, which is Heaven Hill's mash bill, but this was not made at Heaven Hill.
No.
They will age on site and be ready in 6 years or so. In the meantime, you can sample Old Steelhouse's whiskeys from their Blueprint Bourbon line, which I've reviewed, as well as enjoy cocktails at the tasting room that I think it's just been like a month or 2 now, or I don't know, time-wise, I lose track of it. In their new tasting room that they opened in Bardstown, which is actually very nice. It has a full-service bar and lots of space.
Yeah, I wonder if they opened for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. I hope they were open. That was a couple months ago, so it hadn't been that long. But anyway.
It wasn't, I can't remember. There was, I don't think it was open during the Bourbon Festival because I remember there were some issues and timing of the actual licensing to do everything.
Right.
I think they could have private events, but they couldn't be open to the public the way they were licensed. Because I believe they had an event there. Their first event was for the Women's Symposium, I think. I think they went down there from Louisville.
Okay, I think I do remember seeing some pictures of that event.
Yes.
So yeah.
So
and again, here's another small craft distiller, opening into the headwinds, if you will, of a decline in consumption, or the so-called decline in consumption. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But boy, that's talk about handcrafted. When you're just producing, 11 gallons of distillate,
or 2.
Yeah, yes,
because it's 2 if they do their own mash and do it on the grain. It's 2 to 3 gallons per run.
Yeah.
So
and you've been out there, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I was out there for this.
Yeah, I mean, have you? I mean, they've got I assume it's a pot still.
Well, you're out there too, didn't you?
I didn't go to that. I didn't make that one. No.
No, I've been there a number of times. I've picked barrels there for the Bourbon Capital Guild and maybe KBF. It's all a blur, but
I know.
But yeah, no, and I'm trying to think when their bourbons first came out because they've been around a little while now. So 3 years maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd have to look back at.
I am behind.
My reviews.
I cannot keep up with you. So, I don't think I've even tried their juice yet, so I need to do that. I need to get a bottle and give them a fair shake, see what I think about it.
Well, it wore the shirt. We could have had the bottle up, but I'm trying to mix things up because I've got a few bottles handy. In fact, they're right in the other room. All right.
How about some financial news?
Okay. Fortunately, there's only one of those. Brown-Forman Corporation reported financial results for the second quarter and first half of fiscal year 2026, which I found interesting in itself since it's the first, so they must start their fiscal year in July. Or before July.
Yeah, they start their fiscal year on April 1st because their fiscal year 2026, well, this is for 25. 25, I guess, ends in March 31st, right? Because
well, they're already in next year, unless this was a typo. It said fiscal year of 2026.
Okay, there you go. Right. So yeah.
So they're already
a fiscal year. I think fiscal year ends in whatever year it ends in, and so this will end on March 31st of 2026. That's their fiscal year, which is Who knows why they chose that? They had a reason. I just don't know what it is.
So for them, we're going to be celebrating the new year going into 2026, and they're going to be celebrating going into 2027, apparently.
Oh, yeah. 3 months later, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, so that ended October 31st, 2025, with reported net sales of approximately $2 billion in the first 6 months, which was down about 4% compared with the prior year. And they reported an operating income down 9%, and diluted earnings per share down about 13% to 83 cents. Net sales declines were largely driven by the end of the Korbel relationship and the absence of the Sonoma-Cutrer transition services agreement, while gross margins expanded modestly. The board authorized a $400 million share repurchase program and increased the quarterly cash dividend for the 42nd consecutive year, which we did speak about, which was interesting considering everything is down, that the dividend goes up.
It is, yeah. But I mean, it's the way you read into that is that it's down because we lost some products or we got rid of some products. I don't know how Korbel ended, but and you would expect when you stop the product line, you don't have those sales anymore. That's very logical.
Yeah. So that's when they talk about, we're not trying to stay out of the depth of accounting, but when they talk about their organic losses versus the regular losses, takes into account those products and just purely relies on.
I mean, they still had a drop in some sales.
Yeah.
On their whiskey lines. I mean, Canadian sales I saw dropped 62%.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that if they only lost 4%
You're stealing my
in
thunder.
sales,
I got another
if they only lost 4% in sales while it dropped 62% in Canada, that's a win in my book.
I know.
So,
well, okay, that's a big deal. So so now we've got another paragraph that talks about the whiskey side of it, because we don't know anything about the Korbel and the Sonoma-Cutrer, let alone how to pronounce it, part. So brand level results showed net sales for whiskey products, including the Jack Daniel's family of brands, Woodford Reserve and Old Forester, were flat, with higher net sales of Jack Daniel's Tennessee Blackberry and Woodford Reserve offset by lower volumes of Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey, their main thing, and Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. Net sales in the United States decreased by 9%, driven by the end. Again, Korbel's in here, so it's flat organic. So if you take the Korbel thing out of the picture, they hadn't changed.
They didn't really lose any sales.
Yeah.
Good.
As well as lower volumes of Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey, Herradura, and Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. So these declines were partially offset by the launch of Jack Daniel's Tennessee Blackberry, which they said did well, and higher net sales across the portfolio as a result of changes to their distributor relationship terms. So again, that's another thing in there. So, and then as you said, net sales in Canada decreased 62%, presumably playing a role in these figures. And we know Jack Daniel's is way down in, well, everything is, but they were particularly hurt by the drop of Canadian Jack Daniel's.
Product. Yeah. I mean, all things considered, that's positive results. I mean, again, they're still making money. They're not losing money. They're just making a little bit less money. Yeah. They increase their dividend. When a company buys shares back, to me, that's a sign that they think the stock is undervalued, and so it's better for them to buy the shares back than to, keep them on the market. So I think that, again, a well-run ship. Brown-Forman is pretty big ship, but pretty well-run. Yeah,
I mean, and this isn't even talking about all the other things we've talked about during the year, of them getting rid of their cooperages and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So there's
hard things to do, but that's what you do when you have a downturn, right?
Yeah. A lot goes into running a multi-billion-dollar company.
Not that Ed and I know firsthand.
No,
we've read about it on the internet.
I just run a commercial-free and money-free podcast.
Right. That takes up all his time anyway, folks. So that and going to holiday parties. So.
Right. So just a quick word from our friends at the TTB. The TTB has launched a new distilled spirits formula tool designed to help distillers and importers determine whether a formula approval is required before submitting their label application. The goal of this new tool is to make compliance easier and submissions more accurate so that distillers and importers can get TTB approval more quickly.
I actually got on the website and tried the tool, like I was going to do a bourbon.
Are you?
Straight out, but I'm not. But it was the user interface was good. It was check boxes essentially, and I didn't have to have my formula approved unless I was going to be adding flavorings or stuff like that. Okay. Apparently, that's what mucks it up. So
you're adding flavorings to your bourbon?
I'm not. No, I didn't. That's why I didn't just limit my formula. So you can't actually.
Exactly.
But what really got me, but here's what got me about the website: they spell whiskey without an E.
Because that's what it is.
What's up with that?
That's how it's spelled in the federal code.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Here's a lawyer who doesn't know about the federal code.
No.
Thank God Dad's here. So.
I wear many hats. Actually, not. I wear.
Yeah, just one, but different colors.
Yeah, different colors.
Observant, listeners will see that Ed has different colored hats. So. Everything's the same color on the radio.
True, but on YouTube,
it's not.
Yeah. All right, so now we have a couple of articles about alcohol consumption trends. We haven't actually talked about this in a while, but these tell us that Gen Z actually does drink alcohol, contrary to what other things were telling us. So this first one is information that writers had from this IWSR. So according to new data from IWSR shared with writers, Americans are drinking slightly less alcohol than a few years ago, but not dramatically less than in past decades. IWSR's figures show that weekly drinks per U.S. adult have stayed between 10 and 12 since 1975 and are now at their lowest level since 1995, down about 1.1 servings per person per week from a recent peak of 11.5 drinks in 2021. The servings per adult measure averages consumption across all adults, including non-drinkers, rather than just those who drink. And I found that very interesting because that's saying the average person who does drink drinks 20 to 24 drinks a week. I don't know, but
right.
Anyway,
yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, there's
something doesn't
there's a
seem
lot of heavy drinkers holding up the industry.
Well, that's. I mean, we're doing our part, but I guess there's some other.
Somebody's got to make up for the teetotalers, right?
Exactly. Yes. But I mean that's interesting. Why are they including non-drink? I guess because they don't. Well, we can talk about that later.
I don't know. There's a statistical reason, but I certainly don't know what it is.
Well, I think part of it is that people don't always tell the truth about whether they drink or not.
Right.
So there's if you just throw that out of the picture, then you have that kind of confounding factor gone. IWSR notes that declines in alcohol volume appeared steeper than declines in actual drinks because many consumers have shifted from higher volume categories like beer to lower volume categories such as spirits. Converting sales into weekly drinks per person better reflects this shift and suggests there has not yet been a historic break with past drinking patterns, which is a very wise way of looking at it.
Yes.
Separate IWSR survey data cited in the article show that the share of Gen Z respondents who report recently drinking has actually risen between 2023 and 2025, indicating they are not avoiding alcohol more than older generations. Analysts quoted by writers say other indicators, including how much of Gen Z's income goes to alcohol, support the idea that economic pressures like inflation and high interest rates are a major factor in slightly lower drinking levels, rather than a broad generational move away from alcohol. And you can read all the more details at the writer's article.
So my take on this is that now that student loans aren't in forbearance, Gen Z is either A, paying their student loans instead of buying alcohol, or B, spending their student loan payments to buy alcohol so that they can drown their sorrows about having to start paying again. I don't know, but the increase in percentage in Gen Z from 2023 to 2025 was from 46% to 70%, which is huge. Now, I don't know Gen Z, but all of Gen Z should be age 21 now.
I don't think so. No? That's always been the problem with saying Gen Z doesn't drink. When people first started saying that, I think half of Gen Z wasn't drinking age. So that's why most of these things.
Gen Z ended like 99, 2000. I don't know.
It says in that article the breakdown of the years.
So it'll continue increasing if there's still some who aren't legal drinking age, right? Because it certainly doesn't mean you don't drink, but it's easier once it's legal. Boomers drink more than anybody else at this point.
Well, but somebody was declining. I didn't put it all in this summary. It was either No, it's
maybe millennials it was declining. I'm not sure, but
or Gen X.
Yeah, one of the age groups was in decline.
We're still growing strong.
Old habits die hard, right?
Yes.
No pun intended.
All right. So maybe it was this next article that broke down, because it's another one from IWSR about Gen Z. Mm-hmm. That one may have broken down what the groups were. But anyway, so this is what we alluded to earlier. New data shared by the IWSR from its BevTrack survey, which were 26,000 plus respondents across 15 markets, shows that Gen Z legal drinking age drinkers, so they threw out the other ones,
right, are
becoming less engaged with month-long abstinence. Globally, participation in abstinence, which seems contradictory, slipped.
It is a wonderful oxymoron, I'll give you that. So.
Slipped from 30% to 28% year over year, and in the U.S. it held essentially flat, 32% to 31%. IWSR notes that temporary abstinence appears to be less central to moderation strategies, with consumers increasingly moderating drinking less often or in smaller amounts rather than just completely abandoning it. Yeah. Right. In addition, Gen Z alcohol participation continues to normalize, with 74% reporting drinking in the past 6 months. This is what you were talking about, up sharply from 66% in spring 2023, and narrowing the gap with all adults to just 3%. So they're now the same, basically.
Yeah.
Millennials, meanwhile, it is millennials. We're talking about the results of this article, but in the other one. Millennials, meanwhile, are beginning to moderate, showing their lowest participation rate ever recorded by BevTrack, and increasingly choosing to drink at home, a trend linked to affordability and shifting lifestyle stages. So,
yeah, you can't always take your kids to a bar, so you drink at home.
No,
I remember that. So
yeah. So
that's that's going to make me feel better about making my January moist instead of dry. So it's always a struggle to just, and I get it. There's benefits to moderating, no question about it. I mean, I don't think anybody would dispute that. And so if I take a month a year and focus on moderating and I feel better about it, great. I don't think I feel that much better if I was just to totally abstain, frankly.
No, I mean, and I nobody ever I don't think I've ever seen a study. Someone has to have looked at this stuff. I mean, just how much a difference in the long run taking 1 month off from drinking even makes to your overall health. Sure, you're almost certainly going to lose a little weight if you're not drinking because well, I mean, unless you fill it in with something else, and that's the thing.
That's right. Are you going to be eating ice cream late at night instead of having bourbon? I mean,
or eating a box of chocolates,
which is worse. I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there probably are. I'm sure there are some positive health benefits. You mentioned weight. It's got to give your liver a little bit of a break. Who knows what else? I mean, I know in the past when I've had, I've abstained for the month of January, I don't particularly feel sharper. I don't feel like I have more energy. I don't, you
don't seem sharper either.
I don't know. Thank you. I don't notice a drastic change. Everybody's different, right? If it works for you, we're not saying you shouldn't do this, but I think everybody has to make an individual decision.
Well, no, I mean, obviously, not going to tell people that they should drink because it's.
But you can.
But I just wonder what the long-term effects are, other than what the short-term might be.
Yeah.
But. Anyway, and then, all right, so that's that. And our last story isn't really a story. It's just the Ronald McDonald House Charities of the Bluegrass is having their Pappy raffle. It's live now. This winter, they've changed from previously. Their tickets are just $25 for a chance to win the flight of all 5 bottles of Pappy. I don't think the rye's in there, but it's the bourbons.
Okay.
Right? That's 5 of them.
Yeah, these used to be like $100 tickets, right?
Right. Yeah. Now they're $25, but they're still only selling 2,500 tickets. So if you buy $100 worth, that's 4 tickets in there. They sell them in packs of, well, you can buy any number you want, but the options that pop up are 1 ticket or 5 tickets, which they say is enough to cover the expenses for a night for a family in the Ronald McDonald's house. So the Ronald McDonald's house is a very worthy cause. And you can, let's see, ticket sales will close on noon Eastern time on Thursday, December 18th. So still have a few days. And the live drawing is 3 p.m. that day. So you don't have to wait very long. And I won't bother the link is gigantic, but if you go to the Ronald McDonald House of the Charities of the Bluegrass website, it will, there's a pop-up that's a link to it, or if you go to their Instagram page, their homepage, they have a link tree thing in there, and there's the link to it there. So
it's a great cause. Ronald McDonald House serves a very needed purpose, and you can feel good. And especially if you win, you can feel even better.
Yeah. So. I bought tickets.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, I run by it every morning. It's less than a mile
so
from here.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, really close.
So, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go out and buy mine as soon as we're done. And I'm going to win. Ed's not.
I'll drink yours then.
Okay.
Okay, Dean, before we go, we'll just say a few words. I mean, we're going to do a separate review episode, but we're sampling this new barrel strength rye from barrel proof.
Pursuit United.
From Pursuit United. So Ryan and Kenny, and this is their triple mash rye, and it's 121.8 proof, barrel proof. It says on it. So so we won't talk about it too much and spoil things, but we're going to have a very short review show that's going to come out later this week, where we're going to tell you all about it.
I can say that I certainly like it. I'm a rye fan. I'm a Pursuit United fan, and so even without that, it's not impossible for them to put out bad products. But this isn't one of them. This is a good one.
I've found their ryes in general to be really good, and they've done a fantastic job in general, but the rye I think has been especially strong.
Yeah, no, Ryan knows how to blend these together. He is a master at it, and it's a lovely nose, lovely taste. But more details to come in the review.
Alrighty, and that about does it then for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed this edition of the Bourbon Obsessed Bourbon and Distillery News Podcast, your commercial-free and therefore money-free bourbon podcast. We'll be back next Monday for our new releases news podcast, which normally this time of year would have next to nothing, but I'm fairly certain that's not going to be the case because
things to talk about.
There have been so many releases this year. It's sort of crazy.
Right.
So also be sure to like and follow us at your preferred podcast provider so that you don't miss an episode, and don't forget to tell all your friends too. You can also head over to bourbonobsessed.com to check out some of our over 350 bourbon reviews and over 50 distillery write-ups. While you are there, you can also sign up to have my newsletters delivered directly to your inbox. Finally, I can be found on Instagram at bourbon_obsessed and on Facebook at Bourbon Obsessed, and would love for you to follow me there as well. Dean, where can they find you?
Folks can find me at Dean of Bourbon with underscores on Instagram, and the post this week was that hazmat flight from earlier this week. So if you want to see exactly what we were sipping on, you can go on Instagram and find out.
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go look for it.
You've been busy. I'll let you slide on that.
I'm a little behind on posting all the things I've done this weekend. Anyway, all right, friends, we'll see you next time. Cheers.